Hey, good morning. It's Patricia Murphy. It's Wednesday. This is Seattle Now. This is probably the first Thanksgiving since the beginning of the pandemic where many families will feel more comfortable getting together again for the holidays. Now, we know you may be out of practice about the best way to gather and cook together, so we called on New York Times recognized Seattle chef Kristi Brown of That Brown Girl Cooks Catering and Communion Restaurant and Bar to find out what the holiday will look like for her. That's right after these headlines. King County has its new sheriff. Patty Cole Tyndall will take over the job starting in January. She's currently second in command. Cole Tyndall will be the first person of color to serve as sheriff in King County. She'll hold the job while the county looks for a full-time sheriff who'll be appointed, not elected. Seattle Times reports Cole Tyndall won't be applying for the permanent job. Bellevue-based T-Mobile is paying up for a service outage last year that led to failed 911 calls across the country. The Associated Press reports that the 12-hour outage in June 2020 kept more than 20,000 emergency calls from getting through. The company reached a settlement with the FCC yesterday for $19.5 million. T-Mobile says it's made some fixes to its network since then. They're also promising to do a better job of letting emergency call centers know when service is down. And here's one more weather watch for anybody traveling for the holiday. The National Weather Service says it'll be dry today with rain moving in from the coast tonight. Tomorrow, Thanksgiving, we could see some heavy rain at night. That could mean more flooding on Friday. In the passes, the forecast says snow at 6,000 to 8,000 feet. If you're flying, the airport is much busier than last year. SeaTac says give yourself at least 2 hours. And if you're traveling with any food, the TSA says if you can spread it, spray it, pump it, or pour it, and you've got more than 3 ounces of it, it needs to be in a checked bag. It is time to pull out the long table. Vaccine rates are up and available for younger kids. It's the first Thanksgiving since the start of the pandemic that many families feel like they have the all clear to be together. We're going to put aside that holiday get-togethers are often loaded affairs and focus on one of the best parts of the day, the food. And we are so fortunate to have a local expert who, for decades, has created amazing food and community. Seattle chef Kristi Brown is here, often serving up Seattle soul at Communion in the Central District and through her catering company, That Brown Girl Cooks. Chef Kristi, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Communion is a space where spirits, food, and culture collide. Recently highlighted in the New York Times, you opened Communion in the middle of a pandemic, December last year. I would imagine that you were spending an awful lot of time at the restaurant just trying to make it work. This year, things are very different. How's it going? Are you dealing with shortages?
Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday, which actually for me is... it's okay. Like, not the shortage thing. Like, that's a whole nother conversation. But as far as cooking, it's totally okay. So for me, if I come in and somebody says, "Oh, we don't have peaches," okay, well, I'm gonna make sweet potato pie. That's fine. There's no shortage of yams. Okay. Oh, we can't make shrimp toast. Okay, let's do something else. Like, I'm okay. I like change. I describe myself as a fairy in a windstorm. So change is great for me.
And I would imagine it comes in handy in the restaurant business, being able to change on a moment's notice.
And you will have to often. And in a pandemic, you can double time that.
Hustle is part of the equation, for sure.
For sure.
Is there a smell or memory that brings you comfort around this time of year?
I don't think there's one thing, right? But definitely, like, my mom, her claim to fame was oyster dressing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so all of those, like the onions, the garlic, the the celery.
Oh, yeah.
All of that.
That little mash that gets cooked in the morning. Oh, my goodness.
Poultry seasoning.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Like, it's like if you don't have that poultry seasoning, there's problems.
Okay. This is funny because the one thing that I must have around the holidays is Bell's seasoning. And that's because I grew up on the East Coast and you can't get that out here very easily.
Okay, I don't know about that.
So yes, poultry seasoning is key.
Yes.
You know, I tend to put more thought into my food when I'm preparing it for other people. It's a gift from me to them. What are you planning for Thanksgiving this year? Are you working? What are you doing?
Absolutely not. I'm not working. I think my beloved and I will spend some time together before we separate and find time for the kids. And hopefully my best friend, her son is bringing his child, and we'll meet him for the first time. So I don't have to cook, and I'm just going to take up all this baby time, and it's going to be great.
Oh, that is fantastic. So you are actually taking the day off.
Oh, yeah. We're closed on the day before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Day. Yes.
Great. You know, I wondered about this because the service industry is a very different holiday experience for a lot of people. Have you worked in kitchens on holidays, Chef Kristi?
Interesting enough, it's kind of different this year. Like usually with catering, you work up into the holiday, for the holiday, but not necessarily on the holiday. I haven't done that. So we do shut down a couple of days, but then we're open like the day after Thanksgiving and the day after Christmas. So it'll be an adjustment.
Food is such a big part of the gathering, especially when it's with friends and family. I'm sure Chef Kristi Brown is always welcome at the potluck.
Which is funny because honestly, I come to potlucks to eat other people's food and I rarely ever bring anything. I love it. It's kind of a rule and I just laugh and people just look at me so disappointing.
That is funny. Your restaurant community is about sharing community and space through food. I wonder, how can people create that for themselves even outside of Thanksgiving? What's the secret to that?
Oh man, relationships, communication, like I think that we're so video bent, we're so technologically connected, and it's like, hey, let's get out of that and let's see like how we can actually spend time together and build this relationship up in real time, because that's going to be uber important moving forward. And I think that that's really, it's time spent. And so I think that if you can think of one person that you haven't connected to, they mean so much to you. Like, hey, we don't have to have anything fancy, but let's connect and touch each other. I think that's important.
We spent a lot of time not being together at this point.
Sure. And it's like so easy to keep that going. It's so easy. It's so uncomfortable. I know for me, like, I loved it. I saw someone on, I think their name is Pencil Eats on Instagram, and they made a bag that said an extrovert, introvert. And I was like, oh, that's me. That's me. Like, I love people. I do. Yeah. If you ever come in the restaurant and I'm not looking at you or something, I just might be having a moment. Like, I love people. And so it's just interesting, like, when the pandemic kind of started loosening up, I kind of wanted to stay at home. And I was like, hey, you got to make some choices here, because you could stay like this and I don't want to stay like this. So I had to kind of force myself out the box. And I think that's what we're all going to have to do.
I'm curious if there's a Thanksgiving meal that you have as part of a tradition besides the oyster stuffing deal, but is there something you have come to make as a traditional meal?
I am not a traditional person, so I don't think so. Like, honestly, I kind of and that was my mom. She was like, okay, you had the dressing, but like, I remember when turducken came out.
Turducken.
Yeah, it was like, okay, let's try this turducken. It was like my mom and dad, like, they really like to experiment. And so, well, he liked to experiment and she liked difference. So, like, that was kind of the good mix of those two. And so we never really had the same thing all the time. My kids kind of want the same thing all the time, though, which is funny. I guess it skips a generation. But I don't know. No, I don't have anything. I'm not a big mac and cheese person. I can always go for some good mashed potatoes. Chef Daisley from Campania, oh my God, he makes these potatoes that, like, they stretch, but they are not chewy. I don't know what that man does, but like, I'm always down for an adventure. So yeah.
Foods really come with stories. Is there an oyster dressing story you can tell us about that time?
I don't think it's traditional for a lot of Black folks to have fresh oysters. And we loved them. We'd have them on the half shell, grill them. Smoked oysters, my favorite. So I think that was just the key. And it was just like, you got to get your hands in it and pull them apart because it has to, distribute all through the stuffing. Dressing. Hold on, not stuffing. Now, hold on. Let's go back. This is a big deal, okay? I feel like, I always say this in mixed company, what people say, but like dressing, stuffing is dressing. Stuffing is in a box. Dressing is something totally different. I really don't know what what the main difference is. Maybe it's cornbread. I
think it's a ton of salt and chemicals, Kristi.
Oh yeah, sure. But definitely it's got to be dressing. So oyster dressing, it is fresh oysters only, no canned, no, just you gotta, come on, we're in the Northwest. And that's it. Lots of poultry seasoning.
Oh,
Lots of poultry seasoning.
Oh, so much poultry seasoning. This is where we start on Thanksgiving morning in my house with a whole bunch of onions and celery and butter and poultry seasoning. Yes.
And, you got to have the giblets. I mean, there's so much to it, right? You got to.
Yeah.
My mom would start maybe 2 days ahead with the cornbread and then the giblets the next day and then the third day, boom.
Yeah. This was a big deal for my mom. And when she passed away, my mother had a tradition of making mincemeat pie, and she was the only one who ate the mincemeat pie. So when she when she passed away, we still put out a mincemeat pie and take out one slice for Mom.
Exactly. Throw the rest away.
We leave it there for a couple days.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Chef Brown, what are you thankful for this year?
Particularly right now, I am thankful for my friend, my brother, my best cook I ever had, Lamont Stovall. He passed away last week, and I'm just thankful for his life. I'm thankful for his influence with my children and the place that he had with my family. That's what I'm thankful for.
Chef Brown, my condolences. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Whew.
Chef Kristi Brown is owner of That Brown Girl Cooks catering company and is co-owner of Communion Restaurant and Bar, located at the corner of 24th and Union in the Liberty Bank building in the Central District. I hope you have a nice holiday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. Diana Opong produced today's show, which is also made by Jenny Cecil Moore, Clare McGrane, Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, and Jason Pagano. Matt Jorgensen does our theme music. I'm Patricia Murphy.